Small business is about courage, risk-taking, independence, and we small business owners are survivors. Everybody has an idea for a business, but how do you take that idea from mind to market? This is the place to learn.
Small Business School with Hattie Bryant.
It's a new kind of school. Together we'll learn about business from the inside out, from the people who've done it. We'll meet the men and women who are today's pioneers and quiet heroes. Their lives are the textbooks. Our classroom is the world.
Small Business School is made possible by support from the United States Postal Service, delivering the promise to America's 23 million small and growing businesses. There's no wait at the post office in your own office. USPS.com is waiting for you. And by Microsoft.
We see you building a new company from an old company. We see a business full of potential. We're inspired to create software that helps you reach it.
Hi, I'm Hattie Bryant. About 1/3 of the businesses in this country are owned by women, and we have met and told the story of dozens of them. We've observed, however, that women who choose to work in a man's world are building larger and stronger companies. Why? In my opinion, it all goes back to the big truth. The most important factor in your success is who you hang around with. Men are more interested than most women in numbers and growth. The women running businesses in a man's world rise to the occasion. They compete and they succeed at the heavy lifting.
Actually, I do feel a little bit like I'm a woman in a man's world because I am.
I was going against the grain at that time. I was a woman, I was a minority.
The whole reason I started a business was to be in control of my destiny.
All of these women have something in common. Ella Williams of Eager Systems, Cheryl Womack of the Independent Truckers Association, Linda Opeachy of the Opeachy Wine Group, Ruth Ellen Miller of Nuvir, who builds fiber optic lighting for museums, Darlene Jeter of Jetaway, Nicole Miller, one of the few women at the top of a fashion house, Nancy Gasho of Gasho Architecture, Pamela Rogers of Rogers Chevrolet, and Vicki Carlson of Office Pavilion. What are the common qualities we find among women who operate in traditional male-dominated industries? Number one, they think big, and they, unlike most business owners, put their plans in writing.
Take risk. We were willing to take the, whatever savings we had and put it at risk and just invest in the business and try to make it work and see what happens after that.
Darlene Jeter is the owner of Boston-based Jetaway. The company is a full-service recycling and waste disposal firm offering waste collection services, containerized removal of construction debris, and paper recycling.
The idea then was to move forward away from the dump trucks, and that was a new thing for us, right?
But to get the funding for the roll-off, that sounds like, I've seen these roll-off trucks out here. They look expensive.
They are. They are. I had to work, and I worked hard, but I love to work, see, and it was a learning situation, I think, that prepared me for things later on in my life, so I'm grateful.
Number two, they have confidence. They have a, if he can do it, I can do it attitude. They are not intimidated by men. In fact, they love being the only pink suit at the table. That confidence comes from working hard to gain in-depth understanding of the fundamentals of business and to become experts in their own industries.
They didn't think women at that time had what it takes to make it in this business. They thought this business was too challenging, too competitive, that women were too frail, too gentle, that, they just didn't have that tough skin to be successful in this business.
Americans and cars go together like hot dogs and mustard, like summer and sun. But for Pamela, this is all strictly business.
Don't you think women influence the purchasing at a huge percentage?
Huge, very huge.
Do you all have any research?
The statistics are women own or purchase 50% of all automobiles sold and influence about 85 to 90% of all automobiles that are purchased. So women play a major role.
But you've got some women sales.
We have women salespeople, we have a woman parts manager, F&I manager, controller. We have women in all ranks of our business.
That's great. That's great.
Which is unusual for a car dealership.
Pamela is the right person in the right place at the right time. She is one of the few women in the world who owns a car dealership in her own right. It wasn't passed to her by her father or a husband, and she took a failing location and turned it around. Today, with a team of 85 employees, her business, Rogers Chevrolet, generates $73 million in revenues by selling nearly 200 cars per month and by servicing as many as 1,200 a month. Pamela's mom was the first to hear that she would leave her big corporate job for a much tougher path.
Well, I remember vividly the day that she announced that she wanted to become an automobile dealer. We were having dinner, and the conversation was going very ordinarily, and then she announced, guess what? We said, what is it? She says, I have an announcement to make. Gee, let's hear it. So she said, I am going to become an automobile dealer. Well, of course, I choked. I couldn't believe it because it was so, to me, so far-fetched from what she's always done. And that's a pretty tough arena. And being a mother, you naturally think, well, my little girl is going into this tough, competitive arena. I know she has what it takes, but... So I did have the reservations, but her father said immediately, go for it.
So yes, I was going against the grain, but when you're the underdog, and that's exactly what I was, there was more people trying to push me out of the way, so I was the underdog. Right. And there's always somebody rooting for the underdog. So you have to find those mentors, find those people, find that support system. I mean, it's difficult to do, easy said, but there's as many people as trying to push you away. There's somebody in there trying to help.
Number 3, they want to create good work for other women. A woman-owned business is female-friendly. We found women presidents of divisions and women CFOs at these women-owned companies. We found a deep sympathy and flexibility in their leadership style, and at the same time, the women employees are not coddled or spoiled. We saw tough love dispensed.
She doesn't want people to just get up and go to work. She wants them to get up and be excited about what they're going to do that day.
In 1981, in her basement with one telephone and call waiting, Cheryl Womack started an association. Today, she has 75 employees and will see $45 million in revenues this year. And the name of the company is VCW?
Inc.
Inc. All right. Tell me...
Stands for Very Cute Women.
Very...
It's a girl thing.
It's a girl thing. And it's mainly a girl place. You've allowed a few men in, but...
The good ones.
The few you could find.
Right, like the Marines. We tell them that, too. And they're wonderful.
That's great. Cheryl has over 8,000 truck drivers in her National Association of Independent Truckers. In addition, many of the country's large motor carriers who hire independent truck drivers are her customers. She offers cost-effective insurance coverages, retirement benefit plans, low-interest credit cards, and more to her members.
It takes a certain kind of breed to be a truck driver.
An owner-operator, an independent truck driver, he is a businessman. If he does not have good business sense, he's not going to make it.
This women-friendly work environment is decorated to feel like home. Home-cooked meals are served up in the company diner daily. There is on-site daycare.
And you will have an employee who's very dedicated and care very much about the success of this company so that they have those benefits.
And women are promoted to executive positions.
I think Cheryl is incredibly able to get all the other people who work here to buy into her vision.
Oh, Paula! Happy anniversary! 2 years, now 3, and a baby. Yeah, congratulations.
I cried because this is my lifetime dream.
And you're doing
to be
it.
able to cook. And I just love the appreciation I get from everybody for doing it.
We want to challenge the women out there who are thinking about starting a business or who want to grow the one they have. Like these women, adopt the tools used in a man's world and take your business to the next level. Don't be afraid of the thin air you'll find at the top of the mountain.
Wrestle with your financials, know your key critical ratios, learn how to use the equity in your business, and develop an exit strategy and liquidity model. It'll take some discipline, but if you do it, odds are you can make it in a man's world.
Each woman you have met so far can be studied at smallbusinessschool.org. Now let's go in depth with one more strong woman.
We sell environments. We sell productivity. In an office building, for example, that you've seen many times, you see they're called cubicles. Right. That's what we do. We consult with a customer to find out how do you operate, what are your goals, what's important, who needs to work with one another, and so that we can understand the long-term strategy.
Located in San Diego with 45 employees and $20 million in revenue, Vicki Carlson is the owner of Office Pavilion, one of the few Herman Miller office furniture dealerships that is owned by a woman.
Way back in 1986, fresh out of college, and I'm a little strapped for cash. I went to work as a temp. I had one job for a week. The second job I had, in the second week, they had to talk me into it. But they called and said, Vicki, we have a job for you, and before you say no, we want you to hear us out. There's a company in Denver. It's up and coming. There are only a few people in the organization right now. It's downtown, but they're building a bigger organization. They're just getting started, and we really think this is an up-and-coming company. We really think it's really up your alley, and the name of the company is Office Pavilion. It's a Herman Miller dealership, and they need a receptionist. I said, absolutely not. I'm not going to be a receptionist. I didn't go to college all of these years to start out as a receptionist. They said, we knew you would say that. However, we think it's a foot in the door. They're not going to get to know you if you don't take this opportunity. We think once they get to know who you are, that there will be opportunities for you.
Well, I think you were right to be scared because we can get pigeonholed.
Well, that's what I said. I said, if I go in as a receptionist, they're going to think I'm a receptionist, and that's where I'm going to get tagged. And so I went on interviews because I wanted them to know, yes, I like your company, and I asked a lot of questions, and I learned while I was there, but this is not what I'm going to do, and I'm not happy doing this, and I'm not going to do this for a long period of time. Long story short, it wasn't very long before they offered me a position, and they hired me, so my official job with Office Pavilion, taking the temp job away, was showroom manager.
So people should ask for training.
Right.
They should raise their hand and say, I want to learn.
Ask for training, but also pay attention to your surroundings. Learn on your own. Ask questions. When they see that interest and that intelligence, and that you really are, you care about what happens, right, and you want to learn, and you have the appetite for this knowledge, I think it just says to them, wow, we need to take a serious look at this person.
Good.
I was in Denver, Colorado for 5.5 years, and in the 5.5 years, by the time I left, I was vice president of operations. I had everybody in the company reporting to me except for the sales team. The sales team had a VP of sales reporting to them. But part of my responsibility at the end of my time there was to call on the architect and design community, which is a sales role as well. And then I developed that role, and then I hired an A&D rep, so I had a little piece of the sales as well. We were doing, at that time, probably $30 million. Wow. And a company from Los Angeles came after me. Mm. And they called me to see if I'd be interested in coming to Los Angeles and working for their company. And I said, well, I'm not really looking for a position. I'm really happy here. So I decided I would go ahead and check everything out. And anyway, long story short, I decided I'm going to put this package together because I'm not unhappy, and I'm going to ask for all these things. And if they give me everything I want, I'm going to go. And if they don't, I'm going to stay. They gave me everything I wanted, and then it was like, oh my God, am I really going to do this? So,
well, that's another piece of advice. Ask for what you want.
Absolutely. I think they don't know what they want, and many times I think they just are afraid to ask for it. And nobody was ever shot for asking, at least in my way of thinking. So, I've never been shy about that. I had confidence. I knew it was right, and it was exciting. So when I left in 5.5 years, at the 5.5 year point, I told Herman Miller, I am going to go to Los Angeles, and I'm going to work for this company, and I know they need some help with their operations, and I'm going to help them, but I want my own business. This isn't my last stop. I'm going to do this and I'm going to fix it and I will be there as long as it takes, but I want you to know that I want my own business. I was there for 3 years. And after 2 years, I knew my time was going to be short, that I really had all the systems in place and things were operating. But again, how things work out for the right reasons, and how fortunate am I that the dealership in San Diego was on the market probably 2 years when I started looking, but it was too high and I wasn't quite ready yet to make that step. But a year later, when it was like, yeah, you know, I'm ready to go. So then I called Herman Miller and I said, you know, Brian's moving to North Carolina, and no, we didn't really know that. I said, well, you know, his dealership's still for sale. Yes. And I said, well, you know that it's really difficult to run a business from outside. You really need to be within your organization. And they said, yeah, we do know that. I said, would you back me if I can get him to a reasonable price? And they said, well, we're really not doing that any longer. But do you think you can get a reasonable price? And I said, yeah, I really think I can. They said, well, put a proposal together and we'll talk to you. Herman Miller lent me the money for my working capital and my initial note to Brian, because the way we negotiated the deals, I paid him some money up front and then I paid him the balance over a 4-year period of time. So they lent me the upfront money and it was in a note that I paid off over time.
Okay. How long did it take you to pay it off?
Well, the note to Brian, the second half was a 4-year term, which we paid off in 4 years, and probably the whole Brian portion was probably like 8 years.
Yeah, all right. Was that a little scary when you put your signature on the line that now you're responsible for this debt?
No. It really wasn't. You know, it's so funny people ask that question, and that goes back to that confidence. It's like, I know I can do it, and I know I will do it. And you know what? When there will be things that I don't see now that I'll run into, but I'll figure it out.
Where do you think that confidence comes from?
Hattie, that's a really good question. And you know, when I think back to my childhood and my life, there's always been a confidence there, and I really have to say that I have a strong faith, and I know that there's a purpose for my life.
Vicki is getting ready for a meeting. She'll be the only woman owner in attendance. She needs to arrive early because she's in charge and she wants everything to run smoothly.
This is kind of the rundown of the agenda.
She and her colleagues, other Herman Miller dealership owners, gather twice a year from all over the country to share information.
We weren't benchmarking each other, and I thought that we could share each other's numbers. We were all doing the same things in different cities, and by coming together and benchmarking each other, we could improve. That was the basis for the whole organization. We wanted to get better.
Peter, thank you for all your hard work.
You know, why did an all-male group ask Vicki Carlson to be president? Vicki's one of the guys. I mean, let's face it. She's one of the guys and one of the good ones.
And so you draw upon the best talented people you can find, and good leaders are developed. And I think she brings a great leadership for us.
Vicki's a very ambitious woman, person. And she's worked very hard. She's involved in a lot of community things. You can just see politically, she gets herself around.
Nice to meet you. Tommy, nice to meet you.
Good morning, Vicki. How are you?
I'm great. How are you doing?
She's a pro. She's good to her employees. They've got a good sense of what that company is and what its mission is. She's good. She's good. You know, if she's the president of this thing, she earned her stripes.
I think success breeds success, and I think you surround yourself with successful people, you will be successful. And that's what helps me is an organization like this. It inspires me, it motivates me, and that has been very helpful to our organization. I was doubling my business. We had to move. We were out of space. We moved into this building in March. January, after our move-in, the economy is like, my forecasts were It's like, where are the orders?
Right.
Where are the orders? We had in our forecast, where are the orders? Now here we're in this new big facility. The forecast isn't coming in, and I have an overhead that would support X amount of dollars, and I'm bringing in Y. That doesn't work very well.
So the sales dropped.
Sales dropped out, off the charts. I had to cut $1 million out of my budget. And I had a meeting with my management team, and I had looked at the financials, and I knew what revenue we were generating. I had to make some good assumptions about, based on a real unknown future, what we probably could do. And based on that, I had to look at where our expenses were, how we were staffed for each department, and I had to go through each category and scale it back to a lesser number. The two biggest categories of expense are your facility costs and your employees.
Right.
So obviously, we can't do much of the facility.
Stuck with a lease.
Stuck with a lease.
A 7-year lease.
7-year lease.
At the high side of the market,
High side of the market.
You did the deal unbeknownst to you before things got bad.
Things were going pretty
things
well.
Things were great.
Right.
Yeah.
So that leaves employees and the rest of the expenses. Well, there are things we can cut out of expenses. We can get leaner. There are things we can do, but it's certainly not going to be $1 million because we're a pretty thrifty company anyway.
Right.
So obviously we had to have layoffs. So in the meeting, it was, here's where it's going to come from. We don't have the details yet, but we're meeting on Tuesday. We're going to have a half-a-day session, and we're going to decide exactly what we have to do and where it's going to come from. I promise you that it's not going to be long in coming. You're going to know on Tuesday what the decision is, so you're not going to have to agonize over what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
Made the decision in March, made cuts in April, after the economy went south in January. Many people didn't do anything till after 9/11. So when 9/11 came, we'd already made our cuts. After 9/11,
too late.
We didn't have any. I mean, we'd already done it, so we didn't have to make any more adjustments. We were already down there.
So the big piece of advice is
don't wait. Don't wait.
I hear two pieces. Don't wait, but before that, know the benchmarks.
Know the benchmarks.
So that when you do have to take action, you take the right kind of action.
Right. I am so happy. I love what I do. I have a passion for it, obviously, and we are doing well. I have great people.
What's happening today? What is going on here? It's exploding.
You see this smile on my face, Hattie?
It's called cash flow.
Cash flow. Yeah, things sometimes take longer than you think, but you just keep moving forward. And
I want to understand, again, the difference between who you are today and the woman who took the temp job.
I had the luxury, I will say, in getting into this industry or the opportunity to be able to work through every department so that I understood everything about the business, the whole detail.
Okay, is it mentors though? Is it people that took you in and said, Vicki, you need to learn this? Or is it you saying, you said a little bit earlier, I want to learn it?
No, I just take on more. That's my personality. I just take on more. And so then when something happens and they have a need for another manager, or let Vicki do that. And so then I would take that responsibility on, and I could handle it.
All right. So it's being there early, staying late.
Getting the job done. Being organized.
Delivering. So you really went from a town of like 20,000 people as a kid, Gillette, Wyoming, where you grew up, and then you went to the big city of Denver, and then the huge city of Los Angeles.
Right.
Do you think on that journey you carried something with you from Gillette?
For sure. For sure I did. However, it's funny. I mean, I feel I have, and I know that my core self and values stem from the environment I grew up in. Mm-hmm. But, we did have magazines, and we did have television, and we had books when I grew up here.
Yeah,
so I could see the world, and I always knew that I wanted to experience the world.
If you're starting a business, believe in it. You can't sell and grow anything you absolutely don't believe in your heart that it's the right thing to do.
It's about not just dreaming, but doing something to make your dreams come true. You have to have some action.
I chose this road. Nobody put a gun to my head and said, Pam, become a dealer. I chose this path, so I have to bear those consequences. But the rewards were great.
I love what I do. I'm having so much fun, Hattie. Each year gets better and better.
Want to build a strong company? Try your hand at some heavy lifting. These women are proof you can make it in a man's world. I'll see you next time.
Small Business School is made possible by support from the United States Postal Service, delivering the promise to America's 23 million small and growing businesses. There's no wait at the post office in your own office. USPS.com is waiting for you. And by Microsoft.
We see you building a new company from an old company. We see a business full of potential. We're inspired to create software that helps you reach it.
If you want to learn more about starting, running, and growing a business, come to our website, smallbusinessschool.org. There's streaming video and interactive study guides.
The only way we can compete with big business is to be faster, smarter, and better. We are the engine of the American economy. We create the jobs. Small business is about big commitment. It's about sacrifice and struggle. But we do it because we say, if I don't do this, my life won't be complete.